Welcome to Bricks of Norway.
Hi there, my name is Paul. Today is the day that a lot of you have waited for a long time. This is the video about my LL938, my bigger spaceship. That's the bigger brother of the 10497 LL928 Galaxy Explorer that LEGO released last year. Some of you have seen it in my videos from Class 22 when I had it on display. Some of you have also seen some of my shorts video with some teasers about the ship. And I said that I'll hopefully be able to do the video soon. And now I've got space on my building table. I've started the digital model. Well, I started to continue on the digital model because I made a digital model before starting building. But I haven't been updated since August, since I started updating it a couple of days ago. And I've also been able to do a little bit of tidying here in the Lego room, but bear with me for all the mess. If I was going to tidy up everything here in the Lego room, you will probably never ever see this video. So what's the history about behind the LL938? Well, after releasing my video about the 10497 Galaxy Explorer and the video about the missing moonbase for the 10497 LL928 and releasing the instructions for the missing moonbase on Rubricable, a user commented that he was hoping that someone would take 2 or 3 of the 10497 and build a larger set, and one was wondering if that was something I would consider doing. I said, well, maybe. And then this one, the old one, started thinking and thinking, okay, a larger ship, that would be fun. I'll give it a go. And I must admit, well, this is bigger, and it consists of parts of a couple of 10497s, but there are parts that doesn't come from the 10497 set. I'm not such a good builder that I can limit myself to only those pieces. But hopefully you will like this, like it is. Hard time getting this to fit in the camera. Well, everything. The LL938. As it says, because you need to have proper bricks with labeling. There might be some bricks that are not that well fitted anymore, because I've been turning this around to pick it a bit apart to make the digital model, so there might be some gaps that wasn't there earlier. And some of you that studied my videos, studied the videos about this ship, will notice that I've done some changes from the videos and from the pictures I've taken of this model, because the pictures were taken a couple of weeks ago, but I did some changes last night, hopefully to the better. I don't remember the length of this anymore. I think it's about 56 studs wide and 78 studs long or something. As you can see there, it shares a lot of resemblance with the 10497 LL928. It has the same front, the same shapes on the sides of the wings, same pattern on the top, well, a bit modified, but it's the same type of cockpit design, except that mine is wider because it's a bigger ship. The cockpit is placed in an angle. You have the same lights on the side. The windows are not placed on the same place, but more or less the same. And you have the slopes on the side or front of the engines. But as you can see, I have 2 engines on each side. And you can also notice that these engines are a bit modified. This engine is larger than the original one for the 10497. I've used another of these rings, 2 bricks higher or longer. I also removed the part that I dislike the most about the 10497, the steering mechanism and the place for the pilot to use this as a shuttle? No, no way. As you can see, I'm balancing this on my one hand. I've done this on 3 fingers, but well, I'm not going to do that now, but I did that when on display, when I was lifting it up to show it to people. I could balance it on 3 fingers. I didn't really find a sweet spot for just 2 fingers, but 3 fingers were working okay. As you can see, the ship is wider all the way. It's a bit taller in the cargo bay. Well, it's a big ship, so it needs a bigger cargo room, so the slopes on the side are longer and wider. I've placed the antennas on the wall instead of on the engine mounts. I use double mailboxes for storing things. Well, this is the roof of the cargo bay, some details. Trying to make some details I would make it a bit more live and something that could have been, hopefully. This is the rear. Twice as many engines at the rear as well. Those are the same engines that came with the 10497. I haven't modified those. The thrusters on the side are the same. I've reused the arrow, of course. The 10497 has many of those tail pieces. I've used a lot of those. It's a wide spoiler, tail, whatever, on the other side. I use the same landing gear as on the 10497. As you can see, the lower cargo door is wider. It's a larger cargo bay. I've added some wings underneath, the wing wedge pieces, to stiffen up the wing and give it some more depth when you're watching it from the side. I've built this in the same manner as the 10497, so I've used colored parts. And as you can see, the red parts here, and if I move this one, you'll see there's some red parts in here as well. In the digital model, I'll try to use only gray pieces on the other side to give it a more uniform look. So if I open the cargo bay, large doors that opens the same manner as the 10497. And you have two of these ramps. Two separate ramps. So you can place 2 vehicles and then have some place in the middle to walk around or place some other cargo. The same design for everything. Pretty much the same on the inside. Some details on the inside of the door. And, well, added some more pieces here around the mailboxes. As you can see, dual airlock into the cockpit. On this one, the airlock doors are not placed at an angle, it's placed vertically, because that was easier to do. But I made it dual, and I did some changes to get it more tight and stop the doors in the right position. And some control panel on the side of the airlock doors in the cargo bay. And the doors are quite heavy, so you have to lift them a little bit to get them close. And as you can see, there'll be a gap here. I haven't been able to close that. I tried before the display at Class 22, but it didn't work. So I gave it up then. I'll see if I can do something later on. I think I'll just have to show you some pictures of the inside of the cockpit, because holding this and showing it at the same time, but I've used only one pilot in one of underneath each of the canopies. Instead of placing two next to each other, so I've given the pilot more space with more instruments. I have space for 8 astronauts in addition to the 2 pilots. And this one I've lifted the pilot a little bit to make it able to see more out of the window. In the rear you have 4 beds. And you have a recreation area with a table and a bench with some glasses. You have some spare air tanks. You have some control panels. Have some switches for the airlock doors, and you have the same instrument panels over the beds. I used a lot of the original design for the 10497, but I did some changes. As I said, I've done some changes to the model after displaying it. Making the digital model, I see things that, well, this should have been done differently. And this can be strengthened or simplified or more details. So I guess there will be more changes to it by the time I have a digital model ready. So I might have to do another video about it. For this one I've used my modern landing field and modified it and placed 2 together and made it wider when they are hooked together. I'll release building instructions for those as well. And hopefully I'll be able to get the digital model ready so I can make instructions for this if someone wants to have a go for it. And hopefully I'm able to see if I can switch out some of the more expensive parts and use some cheaper parts to lessen the cost for building this spaceship. I haven't weighed it, but I probably should see how much it weighs. But I guess there's a couple of kilos. I think the original 10497 has 1200 some pieces, so I guess this has perhaps around 2,500, maybe. What I can't show you today are the cars that belong to the spaceship, because they are placed at the remote storage. I didn't place it in the same box as the spaceship by some odd reason. So I will show you a video about those later, and then I can take a picture with them inside the cargo bay. Perhaps I can take a picture with more astronauts later. So I might not be done with this spaceship. I might do some changes, trying to close the gap at the rear door or rear cargo doors. I see that there's a weakness in the hinges, even though I used 3 of those hinges on these doors. There are some tension there, so they get some cracks between the bricks. And the cockpit canopy, well, the cockpit design, the walls on the roof with the canopy, it's not that strong as the original one. Even though I tried to make it in the same way, it's not completely, especially in the front there's a difference, and that's the weakest point of that design. Maybe I'll be able to strengthen it, I don't know. I used a lot of time on it, and this was the best I came up with. Hopefully I can strengthen it. As you can see, I'll try to keep the shape of the 10497. Steeper angle here, and when I get to the cockpit, a straight side, and then sleek wing design at the rear. So I tried to keep the design and looks of it. Well, hopefully it looks like it could have been made to exist next to the 10497, LL938, LL924, and LL918. I felt that there were so many things I had to say about this spaceship, but I can't really remember anything now. If you see something that you would like to know more about the spaceship, leave a comment on the video, send me an email, post on Facebook, ask questions. I'll try to answer them, and maybe make a own video with the questions if there are many questions or questions that needs a lot of attention. And hopefully one day I can make another display and take better pictures than I did last time. The dream is to be able to put up the complete classic space display at home. But I don't see that happening in the near future. I would also like to make and put up all my old classic space display and doing a video about that, but there's no room for that either. I think this was all for today. And remember, if you are able to help someone in need, please do.
Enjoy!